In court, that's one word, so that we can track your feedback. I want to start by introducing my guest to you. To my immediate right is Danstan Omari. He's a city lawyer, come political commentator.
Thank you very much.
I won't name the other things you want. To my left, I'll leave it, is Edward Kisiangani. He's our resident political analyst. Hi, Prof.
Thanks.
And across from me is Haman Manyora. He is a political analyst, and welcome to the show.
Good.
So we've got a trio of topics tonight, and we're going to try to get through them quite speedily. Beginning here, tonight, take a look at this. This is the latest handshake. No, there's another one though. But these are some of the latest handshakes that are taking place in town. And the one that I am speaking of right now is that of Raila Odinga meeting retired President Daniel Arap Moi. Moi has been ailing, and the former Prime Minister went to visit him in the company of Moi's son, the Baringo Senator Gideon. But the visit is now raising political eyebrows as being more than meets the eye. Gideon has made no secret of his 2022 political ambitions. And of course, this new handshake was preceded by the one on your screen right now, that between Raila and President Kibaki. He has also met several envoys. You'll of course recall that he had some harsh words for the diplomatic community at the time of the elections. And then this, what you're seeing on your screen right now, that of the former president, Moses Kuria, and others. So anyway, let's start with the one with the retired president. Manyora, what do you think?
Well, not much. Perhaps just to say that the old man has been unwell for a while. And Raila, a notable leader in the country, could have gone to say pole. Very African. When people you respect have a problem, you go and say either hi or pole, regardless of whether you had differed at some point or not. Of course, this is a political season, and people are reading out of politics into it. Personally, I am just happy that now it's building up. That the country is beginning to reap from the original handshake, and the peace is almost guaranteed now, and we can take a break from the punching that we've been doing against each other. So it's something, in my view, to celebrate, but I know it is sending jitters. The chips are beginning to fall, things are beginning to take shape, and
Which things?
things are beginning to take shape. Eh?
Which things?
Well, you can see. Can't you see? I thought you had eyes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're the analyst.
People are whispering in town that these three families seem to be getting together, and they could be having something up their sleeve, and that might then begin to perhaps worry William Ruto more than the original handshake, and also perhaps now convince my friend Edward Kisiangani that Raila is not quite finished and outfoxed.
Oh, as he said last week on the show?
The game continues.
Dancer, what do you think?
Well, my take is quite different from the two professors are here. My take is that the real architect behind the very many handshakes is none other than the deputy president, hidden behind a certain corner and setting the free families to appear to bring the country to order. For William Ruto to succeed to be the head of the state, stability is very key. Development is very key. He will be the greatest beneficiary. And therefore, strategically, his handlers have told him, you are not our president. One is a retired President Moi. One is a sitting head of state, the president of the republic. One is the people's president. You sit aside, see how they proceed. So in my own view, I think William has achieved the greatest aspect. If you look at his body language and the body language of his handlers and the body language of Raila's handlers, you'll definitely see either Raila is on a retirement strategy, so that as he moves out of politics, either his daughter or somebody else comes on record. He's not per se proceeding to look for votes of 2022. William...
Kingmaker?
He might or he might not. Because one thing that And like all the other vice presidents who are there and people who were number 2 of Moi and Kibaki, William comes with a solid block of his. He will fight his own battles and get his votes. So William is saying, well, if I stand and wait to be given the Musalia approach, the Wetangula approach, the Kalonzo approach, the Raila approach that he thought that in 2002, President Moi could have given him the position, only to be told, no, the Saitota approach at Kasarani, that Professor Siasa na urafiki ni tofauti, William has said, let me go and work, let me look for my votes. So I strategically think that what we are seeing will come out clearly in 2019 towards 2020 when William will come now openly to be fighting for space.
Prof?
I think I'm not as lucky as my friend Omari because I cannot stretch my imagination that far. You know, he has given a lot of credit to the deputy president, and I don't know what inspires him to do that, because the deputy president is deputizing the president. Why would you not think that it's probably the president who is engineering this? Why would you belittle the president? That is William Ruto who is bringing families together, not the president. So I'm not as lucky as I said. I'm not as lucky as you are. So you are lucky you can go that far. But what I really want to say is that the Moi family is not an ordinary family in this country. Just like the Kenyatta family, the Odinga family, these are very critical families, and it's important to understand that everything surrounding this family is politics. So you cannot just say these people are meeting because the former president was unwell. It's true he has been unwell, and we wish him quick recovery, but it's significant that he was visited by Odinga. So my thinking, in a very modest way, is that somebody could, from the first handshake to this handshake we are seeing, somebody could be, it's a game of political chameleons. And these political chameleons, at the end of the game of political chameleons, they will change from one color to another. You know how chameleons behave. Then finally, one chameleon will walk into a political inferno. And I don't know who it is, because it must be about power, and one person is still trying to outfox the other. You can read, and this is how you start reading this. If President Uhuru Kenyatta is a Machiavellian disciple, then William Ruto's destiny is already determined. It means that he will not get the support of the president, and therefore William Ruto will probably lose the election in 2022. But if the president has no respect for Machiavelli, Prince Niccolo Machiavelli, then probably what is happening is that William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta is trying to persuade the Moi family to throw their weight behind William Ruto, because we know the relationship. But so in this case, therefore, time will tell. Like Bob Marley said, time is going to tell us what is significant about this meeting. And time will tell us whether Uhuru Kenyatta is a Machiavellian or not. The person who is controlling the political plot that we are witnessing is Uhuru Kenyatta. It's not Ruto.
Manyora, you're very quiet.
Yeah, I know he
barely even looking at Prof.
If we go by Manyora's thesis, he will say it's Raila Odinga who is controlling the politics. If we go by Omari, it is Ruto. But if we go by myself,
it is Uhuru.
It's Uhuru who
Fantastic.
is, and the way it's going, it's Uhuru who will determine the outcome. But somebody will ban. There is a political inferno.
Last week it was Raila who had banned. But
no, he didn't ban. He didn't ban. We said let's wait and see. So that's how I read I read the handshake.
But beyond this, when the first handshake started, subsequently, at least what we expected, that the handshakes would be handshakes in the direction of addressing, Kenya's problems, what had happened at the last election, what has been bedeviling us, this long. And so when and really our interpretation may or may not be right, but when handshakes seem to be taking more and more political direction, I mean, are politicians being fair to a country that lost lives just months ago coming out of a general election? And what kind of handshakes really should we be seeing, Manyora?
You know, last week I said that neither Uhuru nor Raila was outfoxing the other. They needed each other. If you look at where the country was, and if you look at where the president was, you look at where Raila was, these two gentlemen needed each other. Of course, there were a number of brokers, including foreigners, who might have brought them together, but both of them needed each other. This handshake was good for them. The next thing I said was that this handshake was not about corruption, inclusivity, and devolution, and such a things. Forget, there's nothing like that. It's about politics. That again, therefore, brings me to where Kisiang'ani is, and Kisiang'ani will agree with me that for quite a number of centuries, politics has been about power. It is during those early days of the Greeks, which we learned when we went from too, that there was an argument about whether politics should be for justice or for what. Leaders should kind of do things that are good to society, pursue justice. But politics is now about power. So each of these guys is playing in the arena where power is the thing they are pursuing. Even Uhuru, who is exiting in 2022, he's still very much part of this deal. And I have said this before. In that handshake, Anne, there is an envelope. And in that envelope, there is a name of who will be the president of 2022.
Okay.
And this is being decided by Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. And somewhere in the peripheral there, not quite peripheral, somewhere now today a third player has been brought.
So where are you disagreeing?
So now,
where are you disagreeing?
so now,
Why not?
I've not even disagreed with you. All I'm saying, therefore, all I'm saying is that if the people who know what is in the envelope, this envelope has only 3 people now who know it, Raila, Uhuru, and now the Moi family. It cannot be the case, Edward, that Ruto is controlling the game when he's waiting to see whether or not is in that there. It's quite possible that these gentlemen, including the president, have decided to throw Ruto under the bus. It's quite possible. This is politics.
But it's quite possible it was just a visit to an
It's quite, that's how I began.
head
Yeah,
of state.
go and say
It may
Polycom
be
say.
nothing.
There may be nothing. We may be reading too
getting
much into it.
Nick is in a
And
twist of an
you need to ask
absolutely
Manyora
nothing.
to tell you where he has disagreed with me.
I'll
I
ask him
didn't even
off air.
disagree with you.
Off air.
Did I?
Gentlemen, we must move on to our second topic. And now, you know, when the stakes are not particularly high, we are hearing plans to disband, disgraced IEBC, one that was blamed for bungling the last election. Our sources in Parliament are indicating that both sides of the House are closing ranks on this, and that a petition should be done quite shortly to send the Chebukati team home. Is this move equally a fruit of the grand handshake, do you think?
Well, the way I look at it, the politics of a day do not last the next day. The IBC by now should have known from records and precedents as a lawyer that there is a time to serve and a time to park. When I see Ezra Chiloba rushing to court, the first time he rushed to court and again disowned that an advocate filed a matter to defend him when it was alleged he had been suspended. The records of leadership in this country, and which is known all over, any public servant other than the political class, you serve at the top for a very short duration, you finish, you are arraigned in court for us to continue having your money to represent you. So the Chilobas and the others, the Chebukatis, Chebukati will throw Chiloba out, Chebukati will follow us to court in case the political story of Machiavelli is there. So in my own view, I think the political class is done with the IEBC. The political class is done with very many institutions that were in place between 2013 to 2017. New institutions with new people, with new instructions will take over. The handshake of Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga has persons by name he has issues with. President Uhuru Kenyatta has persons who are in ODM and in NASA he has issues with. And
within IEBC, you're saying?
That's the way it is. When you look the way Miguna was, Raila agreed with Uhuru Kenyatta that remove Miguna for me. Miguna is out of the ball.
So you believe.
So politicians operate like that. So in my own view, what I think is that the IBC, and the other time Anne we were here, I had told the Isaac-led IBC that the mood now is just back and go. The IBC should not wait for a petition to go to Parliament. Unanimously, when two handshakes, one of the people's president and the head of state's handshake, which means that anything that goes to Parliament is rubber stamped. Why do you wait? The only thing is that a simple sentence, I hereby tender my resignation, will save you the day.
Prof, what do you think?
On that one, I agree with Omari. Because very soon Chebukati will realize that he expired a long time ago. And he can't even be put on the shelf because the whole company will be arrested. Everybody, the leadership will be arrested for selling expired goods. And he is an expired commodity because he served a certain purpose. If you look at the way people came to defend him just around the election time and just after the presidential elections, they repeat, there were a lot of people who are defending him. Where are they now? If I were Ezra Chiloba, I would ask, where are these guys who really spoke for me? They know he has expired. He was serving a particular purpose and he'll go. And even the one who is sending him out, I agree, he will also go. The entire thing is that once there is a handshake, and the history that my brother is talking about is once the opposition comes together with government and they start talking, IEBC has to go.
This was inevitable, is what both of you are saying.
Yes.
But Manyora, you know, the problem with elections and even with the polls body itself, I mean, can it be resolved again by a kind of, you know, I don't know, brokering between two political sides? Because this is what has happened historically, and the subsequent elections have still been disputed. So, I mean, are Kenyans to have any confidence in the removal of this team and the creation of another one again by political players, or is this just how it is?
First, I will agree with my two colleagues here, but I want to be very blunt. I think if my reading of the situation in this country is correct after the handshake, there really is going to be no election in 2022. So really, IBC is just, whether they remain or go, doesn't quite make a difference. The country is in a one-party mode, and we shall have to live with this for a little while. It may be unfortunate, but that seems to be where we are heading. If my reading of the situation is correct, I could be quite wrong. So if I'm right, you don't need an IBC when Raila and Uhuru are on one side. What other election are you talking about? There's no election. So IBC, like Edward puts very, very, very quite well, these fellows have done their job. They have served the people who wanted them to serve them. They did what they were supposed to do. It is time for them to go and enjoy the money they made. These fellows have made a lot of money. You know, if you look at the kind of tenders and the billions and the money, people are talking about billions as if they are talking about money you need to go to convert, buy some second-hand.
But we don't know for a fact that, you know, these officers are complicit in any deals. I mean, I know that's part of what they are alleging is why Ezo is being kicked out, but we don't know that for sure. It is in
public domain. Some people have supplied things to IBC, the things didn't reach IBC, somebody proceeds to pay them, some payments have been stopped worth hundreds of millions of shillings. You enter into office, and despite all the paperwork and all the clarity about it, you proceed. You can't be doing that for nothing, can you?
Yeah, but I think the tenders are just part of the story.
Yes. And there are many other things.
There are many other things. And
which we can't say.
But you also know that at the apex of this confrontation is the fact that both Jubilee and NASA or ODM in this case have complaints about IEBC in specific senses. So what is uniting them is probably both parties were hurt by the activities of IEBC, and is reintroducing the issue of justice in the electoral process. It is not going to be there, because even what he talked about ancient Greece, when you read Plato's Republic, the conclusion is that justice is what is in the interest of the stronger. Now the two groups have come together and they have formed a stronger base. Now IEBC is irrelevant, weak, and unnecessary. It is a
justice is what is in the interest of the stronger.
Yes. So for there to be an election, a just election is an election won by the stronger. Weak people don't win elections. And that
is justice.
That is justice. In fact, from ancient Greece, if you read Plato's Republic, that is what it says.
What do you think of what Manyora has said, that the country is in a kind of one-party state, I suppose galvanized by the original handshake?
Yes.
And that if there will be then a lack of a significant opposition, what election, why do you need an electoral body?
You know, Manyora's thinking is controlled by his narrow. You know, Manyora becomes very narrow when he thinks about Raila Odinga. He thinks that look, Manyora thinks that if Raila Odinga is not in the opposition, so there is no opposition. You know, that's his reasoning. So he's reasoning that if we go by that thinking, it's actually weird. It's a warped perception. He's thinking, no, Gary.
Give me a second, please. I have to.
Let me finish. Because you will do it, my brother. You are thinking that now, because Uhuru Kenyatta is talking to Raila Odinga, the opposition is dead, so we are in a one-party mode. But looking ahead, 4 years from now, you don't know what is going to happen. We might have a formidable Raila-less opposition.
What I was saying,
possible.
What I was saying, Anne, is very simple. For a long time, let's say for the longest time, if you look at the politics of this country, especially elections, you'll have to agree with me. When these two fellows are together, and we are talking about the most political communities in this country, we are not saying other communities are irrelevant by way of population, by way of anything, and no, that's not what we are saying. We are just being plain and simple and saying, when the lake meets the mountain, and the water is flowing through the Rift Valley, anybody else is wasting time. If you have the Rift Valley working together with the say, what people prefer to call Luo Nyanza, and then you have the Mount Kenya region, the Gema community working, what other opposition would you have?
But do you
and
think
that's why, in fact, I would advise. It's very unfortunate for people like Alonzo Musyoka and Musalia Mudavadi. They have to look at this and be realistic. This is a monster you cannot wrestle to the ground. It doesn't mean you don't have a chance. By being realistic enough to know that a combination of Rift Valley, Nyanza, and Mount Kenya region is not something you can face in a direct war.
That is old.
That is the beginning point.
Old school thinking.
Hold on. Let's hear your answer.
Let me bring out a historical perspective. Manyora says that there is no need for an IBC.
I didn't say that.
At least for now. What my trajectory is that is this handshake, a new concept in this country. It was there in 1962 between Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and Raila Odinga. By 1966, it had collapsed.
And Kenyatta, yes.
And Kenyatta collapsed. It was there in around 2000 between Raila Odinga and President retired Moi. It didn't last. We have it now. Will it last? But we had it with Kibaki. Did it last? So that is why I'm saying there must be an architect who has read the Kenyan history very well. And he knows that this handshake is only a sprint. It will reach the time Professor Kisiangani says a political inferno is going to come that will consume. And when that political inferno is going to consume, whoever will not be part of this issues. The president is not part of these issues because he's not going to be the ballot.
But okay, fair enough. But speaking of the inferno, and a lot of the discussion has focused on the, leading political faces,
Yes.
and that may be, in any case, they are newsmakers in their own right. But is there as my final question, the possibility of the inferno being the people's inferno, to the extent that you have all previously argued on this program that this handshake appears not to be about the original handshake, if I might add, does not appear to be about the interests of everyday Kenyans. And Patrick Gathara on the program last week talked very much about why we labor over the fortunes or misfortunes of politicians vis-a-vis what everyday Kenyans require. Could the shift be, Manyora, not about mountain meeting lake, but about the aspirations of everyday people, and that a coming together of those ideas is what will determine a 2022 election?
Gathara was very articulate about the idea. Why do we talk about Raila and Uhuru? Why don't we talk about the people? It's time we talked about the people. What he forgot, and perhaps maybe he didn't know, is that what is the state? A state is an arrangement to allow a few people in society to enjoy power by using the infrastructure of state. They enjoy economic power and political power. And they have created agencies in the state to ensure they enjoy that power. So if people get benefit, it's a trickle-down benefit. It's not an intended benefit. If you look at all the institutions of government,
I think Gathara has argued that the
police,
state is still stuck
the police, the judiciary, the prisons, all these are meant to ensure the rich and the powerful in society enjoy the benefits that come from the state. That is why any time the only time the citizens of a country get direct benefit from the rulers is when there is a revolution. And that revolutionary force, or the people who come up with the revolution, whether bloody or peaceful, then suspend all these things. They dispense with the courts, the police, and all. Now they do things directly to benefit the people. So to that extent, so long as Kenya is still a modern state run by politics of the politicians, and as Edward Kisiangani put it, of the powerful, to whom justice simply means they are having their way. We can only benefit as a trickle-down effect. But the benefit will be that which benefits the Railas, the Uhurus, the Mois.
And on that inspiring note, Prof, final comments.
Give us final comments.
The point is this. An inferno breaks out when there is all material for great combustion, like the French Revolution.
Yes.
There is nobody who is going to tell Kenyans to become revolutionary until they become part of a revolutionary mood, because there is no school fees for their children. Correct. There's no health care for their children.
There's no food.
There's no food. Until we reach that point and we stop investing in tribe, it is possible that the political class we have now will continue dominating the power situation for a long time to come.
That's true.
My final take is that all the actors with their handshakes, for the first time, have listened to what the Kenyans want. Kenyans want peace to do their stuff.
To suffer.
If their stuff is to suffer, let it be. But Kenyans, all they want is the freedom and peace to do their stuff. The president has managed to bring that peace through the handshake. And when you look at the country's investment mood and the mood of the relationship between the inter-ethnic communities that we have, peace is there. In my own view, this should continue. Let the politicians do what they are doing. We pay them to do what they are doing. We pay, we get what we want. My own view, I think, is that, and this is the best scenario. Let us have several handshakes. So long as they can they can extend up to 2021, even this handshake here,
Closing remark.
and the country becomes wonderful.
Closing remark, and this peace is good.
It's good.
Because if the handshake is producing peace, is good. But my advice, finally, to those who are not among these three, don't fight this deal. Try to be part of it. You can benefit. If you try to fight it, you will be roasted.
Kenyans will throw you out.
And that's our time. Thank you for the laughs. If nothing else, Danstan Omari, Aman Manyora, Edwin Kisingani. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. God bless. Bye-bye.